Unbelievable car mix-up. Stranger mistakenly attacks his own vehicle. A few weeks ago, I found myself parked next to a car that, to my eyes, appeared identical to mine. Same make, Subaru, model, Outback, colour, muddy green, and likely the same year, although I'm no expert. It's a popular car, so I often spot them on the road. My car had a noticeable parking lot ding on the driver's side rear door panel, a mystery scar I'd been meaning to fix, but it had never been a top priority. As fate would have it, my doppelganger parked next to me at Walmart. We both emerged from the store with fully loaded carts, and he was about 100 feet ahead of me. I thought, hey, it's a fellow Subaru owner. I should mention our twin cars. I even planned on jokingly saying something like, nice car, Subaru solidarity. Little did I know, I was about to witness a comedy of errors. I should mention that I had already clicked my car's remote to unlock it, a decision that would prove pivotal later, though I secretly wished I hadn't, in hindsight. It might have spared us both a lot of grief. The real madness began when my Subaru twin noticed the ghastly dent on his car's door. To be fair, it was an ugly sight. The paint was missing where the impact occurred, and a scratch extended from it, giving it the appearance of a spoon in the middle of a shallow cereal bowl. He lost his cool, started yelling, "Son of a bench," and proclaimed, "It's a freaking brand new car." He even peered through his windshield, probably hoping to find a note, but everything was unfolding so rapidly that my brain struggled to process it all. By this point, I had slowed down. It's not pleasant being around irate individuals, and I was utterly bewildered by the situation. I had momentarily forgotten which car belonged to whom. Why was he so upset about my car having a dent? It didn't make sense. Then it hit me. He'd made the same mistake I had, so I did what any reasonable person would do. I called out, "Hey, it's okay. That's my car." Regrettably, that backfired spectacularly. He must have thought I was claiming his damaged door as mine, which only further fueled his rage. More obscenities followed. I tried to explain, but from a distance and amidst his fury, it was no easy task. Then, the unthinkable happened. He opened my driver's side rear door, the one with the notorious ding, and slammed it into his own car. It made another dent and even took a bit of paint off my door's edge, although I only noticed that later. At this point, I yelled, "Hey, stop that!" But, instead of diffusing the situation, it exacerbated his anger. He retorted with, "Oh, you don't like that? Shut the freak up," or something along those lines. I had no choice but to comply, so I stood there and let him continue his rampage, bashing my car door into his a few more times. He even attempted a feeble kick to my car's rear quarter panel. Props for trying, I suppose. I wish I could have been a heroic Viking warrior defending my property, but alas, my flabby dad-bod physique wasn't up to the task. So I hightailed it out of there, my cart full of ice cream and frozen tater-tots, determined to seek help from a Walmart security guard. My only regret is missing the moment when the realization dawned upon the enraged man that he had been ruthlessly assaulting his very own car. It must have been a legendary epiphany, one of the most memorable moments of his life. Unfortunately, he left the parking lot in the opposite direction, denying me the satisfaction of witnessing the extent of the damage he had inflicted upon himself. The entire episode lasted maybe 5 minutes, but it was a wild ride. Aside from some additional damage to my car's door edge, I emerged unscathed, while the other guy, well, not so much. If I were an observer, I'd forever kick myself for not being able to witness that epic aha moment. I can only imagine his perplexity, from trying to start his car to noticing subtle differences in the interior. But I guess I'll never know the full extent of his post-comedy of errors journey. Let's check today's another story. Car rental chaos. How we turned a parking crisis into a hilarious van adventure. A few years back, I worked at one of the big car rental companies in a rather small city in Germany. I had 2 offices, one on the outskirts with a quite sizable lot and a very small one at the train station. The train station office had about 6 official parking spots in front of it. At the other end of the train station, there was a staff parking lot, and we used to not get in trouble for using parking spots we didn't pay for. Having those parking spots was a bit of a prestige thing because it enabled us to serve our business customers right when they got off the train. Both offices worked closely together, even sharing a vehicle pool within the booking software, and we were expected to move the cars around accordingly. The business at the train station followed a pattern that repeated every week. Every Monday, business customers would arrive by train, pick up their car to get to their clients during the week, and drop them off by the end of the week to leave by train again. Most would drop the car off on Thursday. One week, we could already see disaster approaching by the middle of the previous week due to some error in the booking software and some cars spontaneously not returning to our offices. Our carpool stood at -60 for Monday at the train station office, which was highly unusual. The problem was that overall, our shared carpool stood at -15. Since we were quite small and only a franchise of the car rental company, there was no way we could get extra cars from bigger stations. So, we started trying to reach out to business customers to inform them that we most likely couldn't serve all reservations and might have to cancel on them. Some understood, while some insisted, and even more were not available when we tried to contact them. On Friday, my supervisor asked me if I could cover the shift at the train station office on Monday because she knew the colleague who was supposed to would mentally break if yelled at by customers. I knew it would be tough, but knowing that she would have the morning shift in the main office, we were sure that we could make it work somehow. I had to also work on Sunday at the train station office to make sure all cars were ready for the next day, since we had around 70 reservations between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. that day. So, I worked my Sunday shift, got everything prepared as far as I could, and went home. On Monday, we opened at 6 a.m., and I got in at around 5:30 a.m. like always. There was already a small line queued up in front of the door. I told them we don't open until 6, and they accepted it. Everything went sort of smoothly until about 8:30 a.m. All my cars were gone, and I received a somewhat steady supply of cars from the main office until then. I constantly kept my supervisor updated with a list of reservations and which cars from the main office I'd like to have for that. However, she then called me to tell me that she's also out of cars due to some having to be off, fleeted due to mileage, or simply not returning. I knew everything would go to shambles after that and mentally prepared for it. I started telling customers that we couldn't possibly serve their reservations. Most understood due to the fact that I didn't have any cars in front of my office, but a few insisted that they get their cars. In a moment of malicious compliance, I called my supervisor, and after some short venting on her side, we came up with an idea. We might not have any cars anymore, but we had an incredible excess of moving vans like Mercedes Sprinter and VW Crafter that we really didn't need. The train station office wasn't supposed to rent out vans, but we found a workaround for that. The transfer drivers had a company car that could be rented out. So, I checked it in at my station, created the rental agreement, with that, switched my view to the main office, and initiated a vehicle switch all without ever having a physical car at my station. The rental agreement was completed, and the transfer driver started bringing our white company-branded moving vans down to my office. I even told one especially insistent customer that I was able to fulfill his wish for an automatic transmission diesel. I will never forget the look on the face of this suit wearer when he realized he'd be driving a moving van to his client. The train station office's satisfaction rating took quite the beating after this, but we didn't really care about that since we rarely got bonuses down there anyway.